We here, man. Frame within a frame. Here with another episode of Lesson of the Day. I try to give you the jewels and the tools to lead a productive life, So today, man, we're talking about stress. And the lesson is that stress unchecked begets more stress. Stress unchecked causes more stress. Let's dive into it. So stress is a heightened emotional state, right? It's usually some type of reaction, internal reaction to an external situation, right? And like I said, it is a heightened sense of emotion. And heightened senses of emotion, regardless if they're positive or negative, affect decision making, right? Even if it's you being extremely happy, it affects your decision making. That's why when a person calls you to sell you something, or you run into a salesperson, a good one, right? They don't try to sell you off the top. Now, the first thing they try to do is chat you up and make you feel happy. Find some type of commonality, whether it be where you're from, where your mama from, or something like that, so you can get happy. You let your guard down and you make a decision that you wouldn't normally make. Now you bought a $50,000 car or something like that. Same thing with anger. When you're extremely angry, you end up saying and doing things that you wouldn't normally do, and now you apologize to your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Excuse me. Like, I didn't mean that last night. I was just angry, right? Or you broke something, right? That's not something you would normally do. You wouldn't just walk in the house and break something that belongs to you. But that heightened sense of emotion clouds your judgment and causes you to make decisions that you would not normally make. Stress does the same thing if you let it go unchecked. I'll give you an example. We've been talking recently in the news about, what's the young lady's name? Shikari Richardson. So people say, and it's all speculation at the end of the day, that the reason that she smoked weed, the reason why she got high before the Olympics was because she received the news that her mother had passed away. Now, again, that's all speculation. I don't want to go too much on a tangent, but that was like a defense that the community came with as they rallied behind her. But we have no clue if that was the cause. What made her smoke weed? We don't know. I mean, weed's in the system for 30 days, right? But in any event, let's say that was the reason. So she's stressing out because she finds out that her mother has passed away. She's in a heightened emotional state, and she does what most people do, which is self-medicate. Then she gets kicked off the Olympic team, right? So she cannot perform at the Olympics, which is the apex of sports entertainment. Like, your name will ring internationally if you get into the Olympics. And she's had that snatched away from her based on a poor decision. Now, how much more stress do you think she is feeling right now? She was stressing because her mother had passed away, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she didn't live her whole life with her mother. Right? Her mother did not raise her for her entire life, as far as I understand it to be. But she's stressing over that situation. How much more multiplied do you think this feeling of stress is now that she's missed her chance at the Olympics and probably is getting a million calls from friends, family, and the media? Because she let the stress go unchecked. Or she tried to check it, but not in the right way. Self-medicating is usually not the best option, right? Because it is a temporary feeling, And when it goes away, whatever trigger was causing that stress in the first place will still be around. And outside of that, drugs and alcohol cloud your judgment anyway, right? Not to say that I don't partake in a little whiskey. So you gotta get this stress under control. When you're in a heightened sense of emotional state, you are at your most vulnerable in terms of decision making. I want you to think about your day, the time that you wake up, the time that you go to bed. Your decision making or the level, the quality of your decision making is not at the same percentage for whatever amount of hours you are awake. It varies. And when you wake up in the morning, you're groggy. You're not even all the way there. Sometimes, I've been about to put hand soap on my toothbrush. Your decision making at that point in time is not at 100%. And as you go through the day, it increases. And as you go towards the night, it decreases again. When you're in a heightened state, a heightened emotional state, you're at your most vulnerable in terms of decision making. And you really have to watch the decisions that you make during those periods of time. You have to double check your math. Like, you remember when you were in school and you finished your math test early, if you tried to turn it in, the teacher would say you need to go back and check your math. When you're in that heightened emotional state, before you make a decision, you need to think once, you need to think twice, you need to think thrice to ensure that this is the decision that you want to make and that you can live with, because it might be a decision that you regret tomorrow. And I said before in the previous episode, mistakes are not okay, because one mistake can take you out of here. Do we make them? Yes, we're all human. We make mistakes, but you have to cut down on the number if you can, if you possibly can. If you have the choice to, wouldn't you want to cut down on the amount of mistakes that you make? Now, how you check that stress, it's going to be different for everybody. Everybody goes through stress. I remember when I was down, and I would call home and talk to various individuals, and I'm sure other guys that's been in the system, that's been down, can relate to this. When you call them, they start talking to you about their problems. Right? They start talking to you about their problems, what they have going on the outside, and they're stressing over these things that to you seem fairly trivial. Small stuff, minuscule stuff, minute stuff. I've talked to people on the phone stressing over the craziest things when, in the outside world, to the point of wanting to take their own life. And I don't say that lightly. I don't say that in jest. Like, this is really what these people are telling me. And I'm like, I can't relate, because I'm thinking about what I'm going through at that particular moment, the stresses that I'm facing. And they want to take their own life based on, from my perspective, what is minute stress. But they're letting it go unchecked. They're in this heightened emotional state, and now they're about to make a decision that will cause more stress. It's going to cause more stress because a lot of people, when they attempt to commit suicide, they don't complete that act. And now they have to live with the consequences of that situation. So you have to find a way to check the stress. We are all human. So, experiencing stress is something that's going to happen. We can't avoid it. But when it does happen, we have to be able to confront it. Feel the stress, but you have to be able to confront it, check it, and move on. I got stuff going on right now, and sometimes it hits me hard. But I can't let it affect me. At my job, I've been managing people for years, right? At least about 12, 13 years. And I would see people that work for me going through things in their personal life. And it starts leaking into work and now they're performing poorly, or they're late all the time, or they're missing work and not calling out properly. And I have to call them into the office and they tell me about these things that are going on. I obviously know something's going on, but I don't know the details of it. But they tell me about these things that are going on. And you know what my response is? Don't make a bad situation worse. Like, I understand you're going through something and it's bad. But if you lose your job, you will make this situation that much worse because now you don't have a source of income. You see what I'm saying? You see how stress going unchecked can lead to more stress, because once they get terminated, they have another set of problems on their hand. You know, the one chick, her boyfriend had been shot. So now she's not coming to work. You're making a bad situation worse. You get terminated. Now you don't have a place to stay because you don't have money. So when he gets released from the hospital, y'all have nowhere to go. The stress will multiply at that particular point. So you have to learn to navigate through that emotional state, how to rise above it and be able to make clear-headed decisions. Otherwise, the cycle of the stress will continue. It'll be like quicksand. As you struggle to get out of it, you just be sinking deeper. So make sure when you get your stress unchecked, my brothers and sisters. Peace.